push you back
Wednesday,
in. I was
Thursday,
like,
this semester.
Semester's just Thursday.
Just
Mr. Ward, we take
Getting up
Friday?
physics.
We'll
Physics
do
is
it.
not-
I got my physics tape
Mr.
Friday.
Ward, you won't even be here
They're gonna be in
Thursday.
hopefully this week.
So is it,
What?
You won't
well, if I
even be
drop
here
out
Thursday. How are you
semester,
gonna let us take our test?
then this semester has to be after?
What if we need help?
Out and just take the
What are you gonna be?
What if I have a serious question? Can I get a cough drop?
So, just wait.
Okay.
So,
I'm sure.
Okay.
What are you gonna be, man?
so, we have to leave for basketball too.
Do you not have
So,
a-
okay.
Where are you guys going?
Okay. All right. Hey, real quick. Practice semester test. My goal today is to finish, the next couple problems and then finish this up tomorrow. Wednesday is the day we have a bunch of teachers coming in here. That day is going to be kind of interesting because we're going to do some different activities in class to help you review for the semester. Semester test is Thursday. If you know you're going to be gone, just let me know. We'll try to get it taken before that. On the test I just took back from you guys, if you want to retake, it's always better the 2 scores. I don't put any risk on that. So better the 2 scores. It has to be done before Friday. So before or after school at some point. So if you're taking it, let's say Thursday after school, you'll just have to let me know and I'll have somebody prep for it for you. But it's one of those things like I need to make sure that those test retakes are done before break because after break you'll forget everything. And I want those tests done. That's why I want to make sure you got to see your score today. All right. So now, let's go through our practice semester test. On Thursday last week, we didn't really get to do too much of this because we got cut off because we were doing so much with the other stuff. You have to be able to. I think we finished with number 5.
I don't think we
class.
drafted.
Okay.
Oh, we got
halfway through.
halfway through five.
Okay. All right.
We
So.
I have-
did halfway through
I have the
5.
asymptotes and that is it.
We talked
talked-
asymptotes.
Okay. Okay, so we talked about vertical and horizontal.
No,
Now,
not vertical, just horizontal.
horizontal. Okay. Let me see how many there
I
are.
definitely have those.
Okay. All right.
Should
So we'll do the
Oh,
next.
this is left side, green.
should be on 5.
Yeah, 5.
That is the middle.
Do 5, 6, 7, 8, because then we finish that.
Yeah, that'll work. We'll try that.
We
Okay.
already started 5.
And it's the L's.
Okay, we ready to go? Yeah, we're gonna finish 5 and then we'll kind of go from there. Now, Wednesday will be a day where you get to work on things that you're just not good at. Like just you kind of by yourself, like, hey, I need to go over number 5 or I need to go over number 1. Or it'll be just like the big ones that you're not comfortable with. Because by that point, we've already reviewed everything. So it's just like, this is the one that I have no idea how to do. That's what Wednesday is going to be about. I'll explain that more tomorrow. Okay, number 5. We have to know that this thing is going to have a horizontal at 1. We talked about that you have to divide.
I'll get Lucas. I'll get Lucas.
Lucas.
Okay, got it. I got you.
Okay.
actually got Lucas.
All right. So we're going to divide the x squares. It makes 1. So that's my horizontal. The vertical.
It's a bottom.
The vertical. Yeah. You factor out the bottom. So when we factor the bottom, you're going to get x plus 2, x minus 2.
Right,
So that means that we're going to have vertical asymptotes, somebody you cannot cross for sure, at -2 and 2. So here's the vertical asymptotes.
I wish that I could actually see my ass.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Just put them off to the side a little bit. so
Don't
you can see
complain.
them. Okay,
Kids in
all right.
the middle, not kids.
Now,
Oh,
yeah, it's a little faded.
They do
All
have
right.
lines though.
Anyway, now that we have the vertical and the horizontal, that's something we did last week. That was last Wednesday or something.
What is this for your?
Okay, what we need to do now is kind of graph where this thing is going roughly. Okay, and what I mean by that, we can look at y-intercepts, we can look at x-intercepts to get kind of a picture where this thing's going. There's 3 distinct graphs. The reason why. There's a graph over here of the y-axis, or the y-intercept, the vertical asymptote. There's a graph in the middle, and then there's a graph over here. Now, the x-intercepts, we factor the top apart to figure out x-intercepts. So factoring the top, here's the top factored apart, so it means -1 and -4
Intercepts.
will be my x-intercepts. Yep, so -4 and -1. Okay,
Wait, why is it negative? Oh, wait, never mind.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Wait, what?
And-
I'm stupid.
This is how you say it.
X-intercepts, did you say?
x-intercepts.
Okay, sorry.
Now y-intercepts, I plug in zeros to all the x's. So if I plug zeros into all the x's, here's what I get kind of real quick. Yeah, it looks like I'm getting -1, so that's my y-intercepts. Alright, so kind of like looking at what we have here, here's what I'm thinking, just by looking at these dots that I have. And this is, again, this is just a rough scale drawing. And that's all I'm looking for on the semester test day. It's probably doing something like this. It's hugging up against this asymptote, and then going down. It could cross, because the horizontals it can cross, it might do something like this,
That'd be a little weird.
but it's gonna hug up against it. That's probably what's happening on that left side, one of those two
I have a
drawings.
question.
Okay.
How accurate does it have to be? Like, if we just draw that
Close.
it's,
You're close,
like, so if it doesn't go above that, that's
you're fine.
Okay.
You're in the ballpark, you know the concept what it's doing.
Alright.
In the middle, it's probably doing something like this.
You absolutely guessed it.
The reason why, I can kind of tell it's got an x-intercept, a y-intercept, and it's kind of probably flowing down. It's gonna be doing something in the middle.
We'd
Now,
have to have another x-intercept before.
yeah, it would have to have another x-intercept if it's gonna go back up. It's probably not going back up again. And then on the other side, since there's no x-intercepts over here, probably what's happening on
It's
that
on the
side,
top.
it's probably on the top,
It's
it's probably
north.
not crossing, so it's probably doing something like this.
That's a North Pole.
Now, it could go past that horizontal, but it's probably going really close right up against it.
Yeah.
And so this is like my rough scale drawing of what I have. What?
Oh, you're just guessing, so
Yeah,
this is 0 + 0 + 4?
That's my y-intercept.
Oh,
This is how I figure out y-intercepts. I just plug zeros in there.
how can you guess that for the drawing?
Because I look at the x-intercepts, think about like, there's only 3 x-intercepts, or 2 x-intercepts. So on that very right side, it's not hitting the x-axis anywhere, so it's probably above the graph.
Or you can do this thing called point plot, and you pick a random.
Yeah.
like,
No,
six,
no,
and then you go.
No, we don't want a point plot.
Yes,
That's way
we love
easier.
to point
How
plot.
much? Plot points are
Okay.
not.
Alright,
You're welcome.
we have everything kind of accounted for, end behavior tails are going towards the horizontals, we're good to go.
Point plot, you point it-
Okay, moving on. Again, if that's something that maybe you need more help on, maybe that's a Wednesday type of question, that you want to work on that style problem only, that'd be a good thing. So we'll talk about Wednesday more tomorrow,
Wednesday.
okay? Alright, number 6. This problem, now I gotta warn you here. This problem in particular, I have to change the directions.
Oh, because of the one thing. No.
Yes, so, okay, I'm making this
Oh my
one straightforward and pretty easy.
But we
The
can't
one
do the
thing-
power.
Okay, so,
Cards.
no, you can't.
Race.
No,
So,
races.
okay.
We're all racist.
So, this is the problem that I'm gonna give you, no, hold on, I'm making this problem a lot easier than what it is. This problem's a lot easier than what I have written right now. Okay, I have to change this problem because we were dropped last Wednesday. We had our meeting after school like we always do. We were told that we have to put a race format question on our semester test.
Who told you
Okay,
Frickin's
all
race
administration
format.
did,
Wait,
so,
who made the rule?
administration, they made me call.
Why?
Okay, because they want us to get us prepared by.
Okay,
Yes.
anyone?
Okay, alright,
State the question.
Can you enlighten us as to what race format is?
it's where you restate the question, answer it within the first sentence of the question, like you answer the question in the first second. So you restate what the question's asking for, you answer it, then you give evidence and you write in paragraph form,
So
like
what we
proper
did in Mr.
grammar,
Myers' class.
why the answer is this.
What's the C
With
stand
evidence.
for?
Why would we
So-
do this in calculus?
We have to do it in every class.
We have to do it in every
We
class.
have to do it for the
Because
house.
that's the new thing that we have to do.
Because that's
all
how
standardized
IT
tests are
gets
moving.
Mr. Short.
So if it asks,
So-
why is the dog running
Mr.
from the
Ward
cat,
doesn't know
we
grammar.
say,
The dog is
the
running
dog,
from the
yes,
cat
because.
It is
And the
scaring the
picture,
cat.
Yeah, okay, so,
He's scared of the cat.
The cat
What is
is
your
50
Dog is
pounds.
That
running
is
from the
impossible.
cat because.
I am never researching that.
It is impossible
How
to
would,
do this in calculus.
how would an
though.
ACT be like that, if it's a standardized test?
so, we're going to all the high school tests, ACTs.
That's the Iowa
Haven't changed
assessment.
yet. The Iowa assessment's
I feel
changed,
like
they'll
the
eventually
seniors should
change
have to do
it.
it, it's a.
Great, alright,
Well, it's like rip off.
so, here's what this one asked you before. Before, it asked you to write the derivative using the differential quotient and find the limit.
What is
okay?
differential quotient?
Okay, let's talk about what this one was asking for. This is what this problem before was asking, it's really hard. So this is what it was asking for. As the limit, as h approaches 0,
Oh my.
and what we do is we plug in the x plus h's. Right,
And
you
then
plug in the x
minus-
plus h's, then we
minus
subtracted
the
the original function. This is
not-
what we did before,
No,
right?
this
I'm
one's
changing this
hard.
problem. All over h, alright. So we simplified, you FOIL the top, you distributed, you crossed out things, you divided by h in the end, and eventually you make all the h's zeros. And eventually, if you did this all correctly, we would get down to this.
That's what they mean.
That's what it would come down to. If you did all your math,
Oh my gosh.
we did all of our math, it would have simplified where all the h's turned out to be zeros, they would have
I was
canceled,
like, how do you know that?
and we would have got to this. Now,
This power limit.
How would one make this race format?
okay, alright,
He's trying to tell us.
so, what the race format question will say, for the following functions, what is the first derivative and explain why. So, the idea is that what I'm going to ask you to do is in raised format, say the derivative of this function is 10x minus 3 because
That's what
now you can use any form you want.
The power rule.
The power rule,
That's all you got to
the
say?
quotient
It's
rule,
the power
the
rule?
chain rule. And you better explain and expand
So
why
you're not
you
gonna
do
tell us
it.
that we have to use
So,
that formula?
no, you don't have to use that one. You can if you want. It will be open for interpretation because on race format, you just have to give evidence why. So evidence could be anything in your arsenal that you can come up with. That could be your power
Because I
rule.
love math.
That
Because
could
I looked
be
at Reese's
so power rule. Yeah,
Because
so
Justin says.
like if I did this problem, I probably wouldn't do race format on this question. I would probably do it with the power rule because I'm better and I can explain that in words better.
Wait, we have to
That I would
explain
drop the power up front, subtract 1 off the power, and I would explain it in words. And you write 4 to 5 sentences explaining how you came up with it and what it is, and that's your answer.
So
You're
do you
done.
not have to do
You
the
won't have
work?
to do that one.
But I mean, wait, for a question like that, do you do the math and
We'll have to
Yeah,
know the
you
answer,
can
because
do
you have
the
to
math
say
on
the
the side,
answer.
but you would
I
explain
don't
in
know if he's
words.
giving us all the parts.
You would explain in
We just talk
words
about
what you're actually doing in words. So that's how I would do it. So it made this problem significantly easier
Wait, what's the
because you can pick any form you
On
want.
this study guide, you still want us doing that though?
Yeah, so right now, finish this problem out, you gotta do it this way, because I didn't know this, I printed this test before, I had to reprint the test. Because they dropped this bomb on me last Wednesday.
You could have just printed the second page.
So you have to
How much,
grade
That's-
the
how
grade.
much do you hate
You have to
this?
grade the
I
grade.
don't know, it's just one thing, it's one extra thing, it actually made the problem easier that we have to do this now, so it's fine.
You hate it.
Yes, so can I just write the derivative of 10x minus 3 because it is like.
No, you actually have to give me reasons, if you wanna miss 20 points, you can miss 20 points,
It's
it's fine.
20
It has
points.
to,
20
every
points, they
class
have
has
to-
to make it work 20 points.
They have, it's a set rubric that I
Please help
use
us,
in
actually,
English.
this is just
We're-
You
So,
have to have like the
Like,
criteria, the same.
The fact that we can't use our actual work, we have to answer the question with, like, instead of using the actual math and work there, instead of evidence that we did it.
Right.
We have to write the words.
you have to write in full sentence structure with the correct grammar and punctuation.
Why do you have to do it in a math class?
We have to do it in
So.
physics too. That's
Yeah.
literally because I plugged it into the formula and it said so.
Yeah, it's literally what I'm doing. I'm saying, I
Yeah.
plug it into the formula.
Because
say formula.
gravity, like.
Wait,
Alright.
Ward, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm gonna write this answer because
How
gravity's
can,
not
like, you're in the math department, why are you expected to grade grammar?
We're all English teachers, I guess.
No, you're not. You're a math.
Or you specifically stated to us
What is the
that
number
you
in front
are
of
not
us
an
called?
English teacher.
Coefficient.
Leading coefficient. Wait, what's the limit though?
Yeah, I just
I didn't have any on.
I'm gonna
So
actually.
you simplify this all out, you get 5x squared plus 10x h plus 5h
He hates
squared
it so
minus
much.
3x minus 3h.
We should strike for Ward.
5x squared plus
Sydney?
3x
hates
all
this.
over h, and then you cancel
Let's
everything that
draw
don't have
something
h's.
So boom, 10x.
Would this
I'm
be
gonna ask
adequate?
you,
So
like-
Do you have to write all that down?
How much?
Would this,
Oh, for the
would this
answer?
be adequate? Can you read this so I can see it?
I'll read it later. We're gonna look at that more tomorrow on Wednesday.
So will tomorrow be like practicing race format then?
Wednesday is mostly
Wednesday
race
is
format stuff.
Then race format.
Yeah, so just make sure you know what I'm expecting you
Not
to
like
do.
he's
I'm not
already
gonna
said
just
that.
turn you loose. We will practice this all day Wednesday. So that way, you know what I'm expecting, what type of format, how stringent I'm gonna be.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Martin.
Alright,
Are you
okay,
gonna ask me that?
hey, it did make this problem significantly easier though, because you get to pick the form, you just have to explain it in words.
Plug in
Wait.
different age.
I was confused about the limit basis.
Oh, eventually, you'd simplify all this, you divide everything by h, and then the limit, as h gets to 0, you'd eventually plug in, if there's any h's left at this point, you'd plug in zeros for all those extra h's. Well, I don't have any h's, so it's 10x minus 1.
So it's just what?
That's my first rule.
So it's just the first row?
Yeah.
So there's really no limit?
It's finding the rate of change as the gap between your 2 points you're picking is getting smaller and smaller and closer to 0. It's approaching the instantaneous rate.
So do we have to do it that way or if we just do?
No, you can do it first derivative, you just explain what you're doing in words.
You can
It's
make a
easy. So you can
new
pick, you don't
way
have
of
to pick
doing
this
it.
format, pick a different format. But you have to explain it in words. Like this would be probably the hardest way to explain it. To me, this one makes the most sense because this is what slope is based on, rise over run. That's the difference in y numbers or the difference in x's. That's why h is turning into 0.
Alright. I'm literally just gonna describe the power rule. I'm literally just gonna say exactly what I did and say, my evidence is gonna be the work above this.
Yeah, he's got like the evidence to
It's gotta be said.
We had to learn this.
Alright, are we going to 6?
Yes.
Moving on, we only got a few more left. And then tomorrow we'll finish this
Are we
up.
going to 8, did you say?
We're going on to 7 and 8, yes. Okay, This is where we're gonna finish today. 7 and 8. Power rules and product rules and chain rules and whatnot.
This isn't even that bad, Mom. Just kidding.
Alright. You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, now, 7 looks big and menacing.
Yeah.
You could do this a bunch of different ways. You could foil that whole thing out first, or you could just use product rule. There's a bunch of different ways. I allowed you to kind of expand on any way you wanted.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do we have to point it all out at the end?
No.
Or can I leave it as what it's
I don't know if 6 is right.
You're just showing me without a doubt you know which one you're doing. Now, here's what I want to make sure of. Whatever form you're going to choose, you better stick with it, and then whatever your answer is, you just leave it that way. You don't have to foil it all out and solve it and whatnot. Okay? Because there's different ways of doing this. Like maybe you're that person that wants to foil that out and then find the power rule. For me, I'm a product rule kind of guy. I see this as two things being multiplied together. I can do that way faster than doing product rule, or than power rule. I mean.
We don't have to solve each other.
No, you just have to do the first few steps. That's all you have to do. So, if I was doing this, here's how I would approach this problem. What's the derivative of the first parenthesis?
-4 minus 6/7.
Well,
He's ready.
yeah, I wrote it in
Times.
the actual.
Times the second,
Oh, we just have to do this again.
Yeah.
plus,
Plus the derivative of the second
Which
times
is?
the third.
yep,
30x to the 4th minus 3.
and times the first, which is,
2 minus 4x minus 3 squared.
boom, done. Move on to the next one. You don't even have to simplify
I
it.
really don't like
Move
how
on.
you. Oh wait, I have to do that. don't I don't like how you put it on.
Are we finishing this today, or are we gonna stay up for tomorrow?
Well, we're gonna do 8 today, and then we're done.
How was that? How's that?
That's your word. On 8, when you're doing the quotient rule, is it adding or subtracting?
It's always subtracting
times
the
the
derivative of
second.
the bottom
subtract.
times the top. It's always subtracting. No matter, now, it might turn out to be negative, but like, when you actually like do the derivative of the bottom, but you always subtract that. So,
So I do.
walk me through it. What do you get?
So 6x.
Okay. 6x times the bottom, which is?
Oh, it's times the bottom.
Yeah, 5x squared plus 7x. And
Okay.
it's minus.
Minus now, yeah,
That's what I was-
subtract, yes, that's what I was answering. Yep, you're gonna subtract. What's the derivative of the bottom?
10x plus 7
Plus 7
times 3x.
times 3x squared.
All
All
the
over
bottom squared.
bottom squared.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, I hope you just like.
You showed me without a doubt you know how to find the derivative. I'm not gonna make you simplify it. Let's move on to the next one.
We're done now.
We're done today.
We're done. We're fully cooked. Time to the
Oh, this
bottom.
one is tough.
Oh, I didn't write.
Okay, questions at all about this? I'm trying to make it as easy as possible on you without putting extra stress, because you only get one class period to do this. So I wanna make them quick hitters. Just quick, you know what you're doing, you're showing you that you know what you're doing, you're moving on to the next one.
Curry.
I appreciate that.
So,
It's
Can I leave
ready.
pop drop now?
You say this test is gonna be wetty like
okay, now, hey, Wednesday, I kind of explained this, there's gonna be other teachers in here, other administrators in here. We're gonna do kind of a couple activities. Tomorrow, to set it up, tomorrow, I will explain what we're gonna be doing a little bit more tomorrow, but the groups you're picked on Wednesday are very specific to help you out with the problems that you're not comfortable with up here. So there's gonna be 3 style of problems. It will require on Wednesday that you have a little bit of self-motivation to try out some new problems. So that's the part where I'll ask you to kind of group up with people once we have our groups separated. So you might have to work with somebody you've never worked with before. Okay, yeah, you can turn it off. All right,
Oh, Luke.
but Wednesday, be ready to